Huge news for the Washington Commanders. The guy they wanted, they got. Josh Harris said it was going to be thorough and rapid, and he ain't lying. Adam Peters, new general manager of the Washington Commanders. How about this? The Washington Pro Football franchise has a general manager. Let's have a podcast. What up, everybody? It's JP Finley. It's Beltway Football. You're watching us on Monumental Sports Network. Huge news, huge day for Commanders fans, huge week for Commanders fans. This is it, folks. This is the thing everybody wanted. The Commanders are trying to build the right structure. Josh Harris said he didn't want a coach that was also the GM. He didn't want a GM that was also the coach. He wanted to separate these things. They went out, they identified the best candidate available. Adam Peters from the San Francisco 49ers, the assistant GM in San Fran. This dude has been a part of 3 Super Bowl winners. The amount of all pros they've drafted, all pros they've traded for. I mean, he was in New England with Brady. He was in Denver with Peyton, and he's been in San Fran for the last 7 seasons, building an elite championship caliber organization. This is a home run. That's not even enough. This is a grand slam. Hello, Mitchell.
This is absolutely a grand slam. Adam Peters was John Lynch's first hire in San Fran. He turns into Josh Harris's first hire here. And it's an impeccable hire. I mean, he's the biggest name in the market. He's the one that folks have wanted for a couple of seasons now. Last year, he was turning down interview requests with teams he didn't want. Lo and behold, here we are in Washington, and top execs aren't turning down interviews. Not only are they not turning them down, but they're coming here to play. And you heard it from the players in the locker room. At locker cleanup, they want the right structure in place. They needed more structure on the football side of things. I think this Adam Peters hire is the perfect start to that, to creating that culture.
Dude, and if you go through Adam Peters' profile, right? 21 seasons in the NFL between Denver, New England, and the Niners. 3 Super Bowls, like I mentioned. The teams that he's been a part of have 6 conference championships, 6, and 13 divisional titles. I mean, Washington has 3 division titles in the last 11 years and 0 playoff wins. And one of those division titles was 7 and 9.
Well, and Adam started off as an area scout. Then he was a pro player personnel, a pro scout. Then he was a head of scouting. Then he was an assistant GM. This is a guy who's kind of touched every part of player personnel on his way up to the top. And so, you know, no guy who's going to be available is going to hit 100% of his trades and draft picks and whatnot. But the percentage of great players that he's brought in to the different places that he's been far outweighs any of the mistakes he's made along the way. And I think the biggest thing that you can point at, folks are maybe concerned about the Trey Lance trade, what his part of that was. He was able to make up for it. It's not everyone's going to make a mistake along the way, and you're going to make the best picks possible. But at the end of the day, it's about how you can recover if a mistake happens. And you look at where the 49ers organization is, particularly the quarterback situation, and you can't do anything but commend the player evaluation of that group.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Listen, the Trey Lance trade's a mistake, but at the same time, they took a big swing to try to get their long-term answer, and it didn't work. But that doesn't mean you don't do it again. And the fact that they had Brock Purdy, I said this after that Niners game a couple of weeks ago. They don't ask Brock Purdy to do a lot because they're so damn good, and they're so good on all levels of the field. And in turn, Brock Purdy's not tasked with, I mean, what they're asking Howell to do early on, throw the ball 50 times. Purdy probably, I bet he's bottom 5 in the league in pass attempts. Now, some of that, I think he missed a game, maybe 2, but even if you do a pass attempts per game, I bet it's bottom 5. Like, they don't ask him to do a ton because they're so loaded everywhere else. The Lance trade was a mistake, period. But we don't know if that was Lynch driven, Kyle driven. Right. I kind of don't think it was Kyle driven, frankly. Might have been ownership driven. There's a lot of things. And what I focus on is every organization is going to make mistakes. The best organizations are able to overcome mistakes. Like, think about the Eagles, who gave Carson Wentz like $175 million contract extension and then drafted Jalen Hurts. Like, they knew to keep this thing moving. That's what the good organizations do. Washington, pretty much under Dan era, is an all eggs in one basket, and they always find the basket with a hole in it. Like, this is going towards a modern structure, just the correct way to run an organization. Think about this, big man. We'll talk about the Niners specifically, because in New England, he was a scout. And you know what's big for scouts is when 1 or 2 of their guys get picked. So you're pretty low level. In Denver, he really worked his way up, eventually director of college scouting. But with the Niners, I mean, he's assistant GM. He's VP of player personnel. He has a big role. So just think about the all pros, not pro bowlers, all
Right.
pros. Since he's been out there, Nick Bosa, first rounder, second overall pick. Those guys, a second overall pick, you have to hit. You have to hit. Washington hasn't. This dude did.
Yeah.
And it was the same position from Ohio State. It's pretty remarkable. But so Bosa, I don't even want to pat him on the back for that. Like, you have to hit a number 2 overall pick, and they did. What about Debo, a second rounder? Fred Warner, a third rounder. George Kittle, Kittle, I believe, led all NFL tight ends in receiving this year. And then they also have Talanoa Hufanga. Hopefully, I'm getting that right. He's an all pro in the 5th round. Those are just the all pros they drafted. What about the guys they traded for?
Right.
What about Trent and Christian McCaffrey? I mean, you know me in the phrase attack success, and I love it. And that's what organizationally San Fran has done. And you hope and assume, frankly, that that's what organizationally Washington will